just to keep the sword sharp, just so that I can keep practicing teaching also, so that I can get insights and get better at it. So you'll notice that I'm putting a huge, first 5 decades is me in my early 20s hammering the skill set. So there's actually a base of value to offer. Okay, so I have the results, but I also have results for clients. Then as I'm getting deeper into that, now all of a sudden I'm like, okay, well, whatever I can do as far as being in momentum with product quality, like I'm teaching every single weekend, going out every single night, I'm posting articles every single day. So I've maxed out what it is that I can do for program quality. Well, now that I've maxed out
All
program
right.
quality, now what I've got to do is I've got to start to look at marketing. That's when I started studying
Testing,
marketing.
testing,
So
testing.
marketing
Okay.
is obviously exhausting. I understand that. It can
Oh
be.
shit.
But
Hold on,
the
y'all.
truth is that if I just say, look, I'm this guy who goes out 24 hours a day, I get X, Y, and Z results, which we were, able to talk about back in the day when we were listening. And, I want to show you how to get these results, and here's clients of mine that are getting you these results. Well, if I just do that, that is not enough. You actually have to have a nuanced understanding of how the mind works and how to connect to how the mind works. So what studying marketing does is it teaches you the way that somebody who's new mind works. Okay. Now the next thing is, what is cheaper, to acquire a new client or to keep an existing client? Well, the way that we grew our business over the years, the way you keep an existing client is not to fail them. Rather, it is to help them and to help them to succeed and get them to a high level. So when you hear me brag about how I have multi-million-dollar clients, like guys that are either doing over 100 million a year or doing billions a year in their business, you're saying to yourself, why do you have so many clients like that? Part of that was because obviously what we did was hugely famous in the mid 2000s and late 2000s, but it was also because we helped coach them to that point. So we have many, many clients, like, guys from the old school PayPal Mafia, and you might know what that means. You can probably guess who that is and those people and who they are. And we have many, many clients who we've taught over the years that have become billionaires. And so as a result, they wind up coming back to us and sticking with us. So when you can actually help somebody to succeed, if you're working really, really hard and you have this deep well of value, like this well of value goes really, really, really deep, then you can give away the 1 hour lives whenever you want. You can do the 2 hour free videos. You can do the free tours. You can do the free groups. You can do inexpensive programs. You can do that because you understand that there's so much value under that well that you've been building, that you've got your product quality at a 10 out of 10, or it's never a 10. It's just like the 10 of what it can be at that time. It's always the next 10, the next 10, the next 10. But then you've also got your marketing and sales also at your current 10 out of 10, which will then be the next 10, the next 10, the next 10, the next 10. And you want to view them as equally as important, like defense and offense. Product quality, but the ability to relay that to other people are equally important. So again, what did I do? I lived my first few years going out nonstop I lived in the Hollywood Hills in Project Hollywood. And basically I was going out every single day nonstop, building the skill, building the skill, building the skill, building the skill, teaching every single weekend, better as a speaker, better as a communicator, building the skill, building the skill, building the skill. Like, I know that you think of me as this person that just does like free tour videos and free lives if you've never worked with me, but you don't realize that most of my time is spent teaching you real programs, not this. Okay, you actually owe it to yourself to experience a real program. If you want to experience a real program, there's a good example right there, Endless Motivation Blueprint. Click that. Click this link below here and actually come see what we really teach and see how we can really add value to you. But the cool thing is that when you have that deep well, you can put out the live, you can put out the free videos, you can do the free tours and all that because the well goes so much deeper. When you have that deep well, you become an ambassador for your brand. You can build a tribe around it. We'll go deeper onto that, but the main point is this. What is Sid saying? Deep work, right? Deep focus on building the skill, deep focus on sales and marketing, later deep focus on building a team.
It's really about deep work, mastering the fundamentals. And those fundamentals really need to be rock solid because that's the foundation in which you're going to build this whole tower on, right? So the vehicle is the business model. The business model, you also have to consider many, many different business models in the same way that you experiment with many, many different potential passions. You want to look at yourself and at your strengths and say, am I more of a communicator or am I more logical? Am I more of a systems builder? So not only do you want to look at different people that have taken different business models to wealth or to their passions, but you also want to ask yourself, what natural aptitude do I have and what business model would be the best for that aptitude? Now,
All right, my bad, y'all. I'll be sitting down listening. Shouts to Owen, man. Shouts to my good friend Owen. One of the craziest pickup artists I know. You know, his name was Tyler at first. And I don't know. I forgot. I don't know if it's the same guy, but he was in Mystery's book. You know, a lot of people don't like him because Mystery kind of not Mystery, Neil Strauss style. Uh, if you read that book, it kind of made him seem like he was like a dirty Mac, but he kind of was, but he wasn't. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't to the if you go off of what Neil was talking about, you would think he he kind of was more an effed up character, but he honestly he had a lot of shit going on at that time. What was I about to say? I don't know if it was him or somebody else, but this dude back in the day, Amazon, not no, Amazon's customer service number. This fool put his company's number. I don't know how he did it. It overrided it. Like if you were calling Amazon for customer service, it would lead to his number or his avatar, his business avatar will come up in your iPhone as Amazon customer service, you know. So his real name is Owen Cook or Owen, but a lot of people know him as Tyler. My bad. Miss V was right. These chips, it's not even chips. This fruit is just ridiculous. All right. Anyway. Mm, let's get a sample. Let's kind of chop it up like how Jay Dilla does. All right. So on today's show, we're gonna make like 3 beats. And we're gonna try to take like a sample. Shout outs to my boy DJ Direct or Direct, whatever you want to call him. I bought his course, which is dope. Came with some lo-fi samples. But I'm gonna chop them up, obviously. Mangle them and do all kinds of stuff. Now I'm wondering why I don't have any audio. That's because I need to figure out where my audio for my MPC is being routed, which I have it right here. And it should come in on this channel. Let's see. Gotta find the hole. That's what she said. All right. Let's see. Yep. All right. We'll practice. So on NPC, how you really should use it, and I'm learning how to use it like that, is you can use these pads, right? And you got bank A, bank B. So it's not just these. And put anything you want on a pad when you're flipping through files and menu diving. So I like the sample. I'm gonna put the sample to this pad. So when I press this pad, turn my MPC up a little bit. Play it again. I don't want to blast it. I want to make sure I'm at a good volume, especially when you're running it through a mixer and you have to hear yourself. I got to hear what y'all are hearing and shit. I make sure my levels are right. I could be mixing and doing stuff wrong. And then, honestly, how my mixer is set up, I can't even put everything at Unity Gang because my mixer is mixed up. Anyway. All right. So when you're chopping up a sample, you could be intermediate, you could be a beginner, or you could be advanced. Intermediate's like you kind of know what you're doing, or you do know what you're doing. Advanced is just on some other shit. It's on some mastery level. Actually, advanced really isn't that advanced. It's just intermediate to the next level. So a sample like this, I can press sample edit, and this is the reason why they did the NPC one the way they did for less menu diving. Even though there's still a good amount of menu diving. I really don't like menu diving. It's kind of why I don't use computers, but this is basically a computer. You go to sample edit. Now you have your sample right here. Transients are the higher part of the samples, like the higher part of the samples. So beginning, and not really beginning is, but this is a beginner move, is if you look at the chops, it's 4. It's like you can even just look at the wave. You know, I'm getting more comfortable at looking at certain waves that I'm dealing with. There's 2 waves because this is not in mono, it's in stereo. That's why you have 2 of the same thing. So I know it's intimidating looking at a bunch of hardware gear and seeing all these buttons and knobs, and it's like, what the hell? How does he make this thing talk? It's not that hard. But then again, you got to know what certain parts of the pads are. So I'm thinking like this is the beginning. This does nothing. All of these does something different. Like if I press this, I have to hold it. I got to hold it for it to play. Whereas I could just, okay, I got to hold that too. But that plays it. So it's just kind of knowing what does. But anyway, this is the sample. As soon as the sample plays, you count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. That means it's a 4-bar loop. 4-bar loop. And some beats are 4 bars. Some I like to make 8 bars. Some are 16. Some go up to 30. Some go up to 64 steps, depending on how you want to do your song. I actually use my MPC in a weird way. So you can learn something from me, but there's a lot of things that I have to learn. There's a lot of things that you may have to learn, right? So the easiest thing to do with a loop like this is to get it to loop twice. You've seen me done it so many times. I'll loop it and the plan is I'll probably loop it twice, but on the next 4 bars, I'll do something different or change the tune because you can do everything when you're looping and sampling. I didn't think sampling got this deep. Boy, was I wrong. I was wrong as hell. All right. So I can change the tune. If I want, I can reverse it. Might sound better. See what that sounds like. That's not bad. 4 bars too. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I think that's 2 bars. See? I'm retarded. No. You have to do this by couple times to get 3 bars out of it. I mean 4 bars. But I'm not going to do that. What Jay Dilla did was he go into chop. You go into chop, you become a karate master. You could chop this up. So certain samples is better to chop up because he did eighth notes. It's so weird. I gotta figure out really what's eighth notes. I do know what it is, but I kind of don't. But maybe I should watch the video with y'all and then try it again. I'm probably gonna do that. But he would have all his chops like really close to each other. So if there was an instrument or something played, when all of those chops get spread out on this board, or he manually chops it because he listens to the whole song. So the whole song, a whole song, to tell you the truth, would be on his sample board. I guess he would zoom out and he'll see the whole song just like this, and he'll hear the whole song, and he will look out for certain instruments like a violin or a guitar or a random sound that just like means nothing or just leads to nowhere on the beat. Or even if somebody's singing, he'll look for them holding a note and use that as an example. Or if you have certain sounds, he'll figure out what instruments you have, where to chop them, and he'll redo the whole song literally by hitting these pressure pads, basically finger drumming, with his precisely made chops. So on an MPC, you can hold something and chop it, and chop it. Nah, I didn't give a damn where I chopped it, so this is what I got. Stops. I manually chopped it. Or you undo it. I can get it to chop smart each threshold. So what the MPC does is it reads everything. So it's like, okay, we'll chop it during the threshold. So anytime, I wouldn't say transients, but every time something gets loud or something triggers the threshold, it'll make a chop there. So we have 19 chops. So this is the first chop it found. Sounds stupid, but you can use it. Here's a second chop. Third chop. Fourth. Fifth. Sixth. 7. And then this one's long. 8. Oh, this one's long. 9. 10. So it chopped it. Or you can go to regions, and they'll spread it out all across the pads. Now, the OP1 does the same thing. These are basically the same thing, but a lot different. They're both groove boxes. You can make albums of music on. I wonder how much keys this got. Just thinking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Wow, I thought it would have 16. But you got your black keys. Anyway, I just got this on because later I'm going to plug it in and charge it with the MPC. But look, you can take a chop like this and you can... So you can play something different. You can... you can slice certain instruments and just replay them in. But you gotta train your pads too, because as soon as I let go of these pads, it stops. So that's all you get until I hold it. So you can. What's going on, Roguish? So what Jay Dilla did, shout out to my brother Ro in the building. What Jay Dilla did was he made all his slices really close. All of his slices were really close. Or if he looked at a whole sample, what he would do is he would take this part, this part, this part, this part, this part, this part, and basically just basically play a puzzle with them, rearrange them with the MPC's pads. And he would do what's called eighth notes. So let me see if I can find this video. So, I know where to go. Website. This website is actually really good. Let me do this. This came out 5 days ago. I was watching it the other day. All right. Check this out. Give y'all the game. You know, because this show is very educational too.
All right, you sing it, and I'll show you how my
Hold
voice
on.
would have made it. Unbelievable.
Donuts is the second and final solo album from one of the most influential hip-hop producers of all time, Jay Dilla. So influential that papers have been written on it and his techniques picked apart and analyzed countless times. With a ton of mythology surrounding its creation, and it's arguably the base inspiration for the lo-fi hip-hop genre. Today, we're talking about this intricately constructed beat. So what made Jay Dilla the archetype for hip-hop sampling? Heralded by his peers, influencing entire genres and future generations? Let's find out.
So you see how he takes the whole sample and breaks it down? Shout outs to Ro in the building. Shout outs to my brother Night-ish in the building. Let's go. Yeah, man. Forever back at it. Always working, bro.
This is a series where we take a closer look at some of the coolest sampling techniques we've come across while making our sample breakdowns, dive deeper into the historical context surrounding them, and show you how you can use these techniques to expand your own sampling toolkit.
James "Do It" Yancey, better known as Jay Dilla, was born in Detroit, Michigan. His mother, Maureen "Ma Dukes" Yancey, was a former opera singer. His father, Beverly "Do It" Yancey, was a jazz bassist. His mother would go on to say that Dilla had perfect pitch and harmony at only a couple of months old, mimicking intricate sounds from songs perfectly. Early on, Jay Dilla would form the rap group Slum Village with his high school friends.
JD, man, I shoot sometimes. I sit and wonder when I think about these written rhymes.
Gaining a reputation for his funky bass lines, offbeat drums, innovative sampling techniques, and complex jazzy harmonics. While others would sample cool parts they liked, Dilla would manipulate his samples to do what he wanted them to do, almost like he could speak through them. Like in the Slum Village track, where he changes the word to sound more like,
It's the 788.
or in this beat, where he rearranges the ending of the Grease soundtrack. Or when he layered a 6-count sample over a 4-count beat and made 2 different time signatures work together somehow.
Right, Roguish. Right. He come from a different school of hip hop.
Or this beat, where he took the bass line from, well, you get the point. To his peers, this was like witchcraft. Like Jimi Hendrix's guitar was his instrument, the sampler and the records were Dilla's. His production instrument of choice was the MPC 3000, which he would use to craft timeless classics for a lot of artists, like A Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, Erykah Badu,
What's going on,
Common,
T?
The Roots, just to name a few. Which brings us to Donuts. Donuts is a beat tape and instrumental album unlike any other. It was so special because it was a complete departure from his previous styles. It was like he had invented something completely new. The album was released on the anniversary of Dilla's birthday, February 7, 2006. Unfortunately, he would pass away 3 days later. The album was being worked on by Jay Dilla while battling a blood disease and a disease called lupus, finishing up the album from his hospital bed. It's definitely his most well-known project. We'd like to think it's because of how musically groundbreaking it was. However, a large part of its popularity has to do with the story surrounding it, how he made it from his deathbed, and how these songs were the last messages to his loved ones. How truthful that story is up for debate, but the fact remains, he did speak through his music, and he did work on these tracks while battling the diseases that would ultimately take his life. In his last interview that Jay Dilla granted to Scratch Magazine in November of 2005, he would briefly speak on the album. It's just a compilation of the stuff I thought was a little too much for the MCs. That's basically what it is, you know? Me flipping records that people really don't know how to rap on, but want to rap on. There's a bunch of that. And one of the most unique beats on the album, and perhaps one of the most impressive beats on the album from a sampling perspective, is Donut's 18th track, Don't Cry. Let's take a closer look. Dilla is essentially deconstructing the record with surgical precision at different points along the entire original composition. Instead of looking at a certain loop or section of the record, he's zooming out and looking at the entire record as a canvas.
So if you can see where he took all the slices at the track at the bottom and then rearranged all of them and basically played them out. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. What was it? 23? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Up 23. And I'm pretty sure he used like 2 banks on his MPC. This is kind of, I mean, I like the newer MPCs. They're nice. But I've been looking at the older ones. And Alchemist and everybody, even the Larry June mixtape, Alchemist, the Larry June album Alchemist is working on right now. He's using the MPC 2500. And I think the way that they chop and mangle stuff without all the extra fluff, I get it. I like all the new shit. But it's like a BMW. You know how the old BMW? It's cool. You know, you can hook up a old E. But the new ones, it's like 15 sensors for one little thing and all kinds of shit. It's like, nigga, as long as the lights turn on, I put it in drive and it goes forward. That's all I give a fuck about. All this fancy time stretching and all this other weird shit. After a while, it's like, I'd rather the old shit. But anyway.
In the same way a painter spends time crafting their palette of colors to paint with, Dilla extracts portions of the sample along the entire timeline to piece back together like a puzzle. It's this puzzle method that makes this track so unique. The other special part about this track is how Dilla manipulates the chops to form his own tempo and groove. The
was dope as hell. I think if Dilla was alive, he'd be using the MPC live. That's no joke. And he probably might still be using his 3000, to tell you the truth. I'm pretty sure he'll have an X and a Renaissance. I definitely just wish I could have got his perspective on the newer MPs. Damn, man, we lost a legend.
Sample is slower than Dilla's final track. Which means that normally, if you picked anything other than eighth notes, your chops would sound out of sync, since all of the drums would be hitting too late. But because he does eighth note chops, he's forcing the sample to adhere to his new speed. So the kick and snare now hit where they're supposed to. And the added bonus to this is that everything after each kick and snare hits just a little bit late. By doing this and not resorting to quarter note chops, he's more able to finely tune the groove and tempo. Also, by focusing on eighth note chops, he's able to make the puzzle pieces connect quicker, creating intrigue as the chops and textures jump in pitch and melody between one another. Now that we have the blueprint, let's put it to use in our own beats.
All right, so to recreate this technique, we're going to come into TrackLib. We're going to go over to tracks. And to narrow this down, we have filters up here. I'm just going to actually use the
I'm tired of people showing y'all how to make beats and use their computer.
I'm also going to narrow it down by genre. So I'm going to use the R&B and soul genre as well. It'll filter out the entire library and catalog on TrackLib, and now I'm able to browse each track. And one cool thing we can do now on TrackLib is change the pitch. Now, to accomplish the Dilla technique, we're not so much looking for something that inspires us in terms of like a section or a 4-bar loop. We need to look more for textures. We're looking for kick, drum hits, snare hits, strings that might sound like pads, small guitar lines, maybe a lyric or two. So I've actually found a track that I want to use already. It's by the fabulous Waller family. I'm going to download this track and import it into my DAW. So let's listen to the entire track and isolate what we want. So immediately I heard a couple different things, right? I heard a kind of bell chime sound within here. That itself is a pretty cool sound. And then the word baby. Baby, baby, I know. Baby. So with the word baby, you get that piano hit in the back. Baby, 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 I know you've been messing around. When the
See, this is how I have to study samples. So now I'm gonna have to reconfigure how I'm looking and listening to music to look out for certain things. Makes you a paranoid listener. So let's go.
Vocal is held out this long. It's basically acting like a synth at that point, because you can take the beginning of the vocal chop, or you can take a section within that held note, because now it's going to sound like a synth. Right? So now you have a sound that isn't necessarily a word. It's not a lyric. It's just a sustained note that you can utilize. That's essentially what we're talking about when we're talking about textures. So these are the types of things that you start listening for in the record. And I'll show you guys how to chop it up so that you can do the eighth note sequence so that things start making a little bit more sense as you're putting them together. So let's just take this one section right here. You can do this with any DAW, but essentially I would take this into somewhere where I could slice up the samples with my controller, right? I can trigger it from my pad, or I can just trigger it from a MIDI note, but I use the Ableton Push. There's the actual chop that I want, right? Here it is in the actual track, and then here it is me trying to slice it up. Most producers, when they chop up, you would do a quarter note chop. So you would count quarter notes in your head. 2, 3, 4, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And essentially, you can just play those 4 chops in order, or you can rearrange those chops. But what Dilla did is that this chop would actually move to the left here. So he would have eighth note chops. So now I have twice as many things to hit in the melody. So he would do something like this. You can jump from this section of the record at 53 seconds over to this part of the record at 57 seconds if that's how it sounds good to you in your head, right? And that's essentially what you do. You're basically looking for the chops that you want. Now I'm going to go through the entire record and do what you just.
All right, he just confused me now, because now that I'm sitting in front of a sample, now this looks weird. Okay, hold on. Oh shit. Oh, yo. So Dilla would It looks like he did what he did. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, eighth. I gotta figure out what the hell is an eighth.
You can jump from this in order, or you can rearrange those chops. But what Dilla did is that this chop would actually move to the left here. So he would have eighth note chops. So now I have twice as many things to hit in the melody. So he would do something like this. You can jump from this section of the record at 53 seconds over to this part of the record at 57 seconds if that's how it sounds good to you in your head, right? And that's essentially what you do. You're basically looking for the chops that you want. Now I'm going to go through the entire record and do what you just saw there. All right, so now that I have these chops, I'm actually just going to go ahead and try and figure out how to piece them together. Now, one thing I like to do, I'll just drag in like a drum loop. Now, this is just to generate ideas because I have a backing track to actually go to. So let's see what we come up with here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my Ableton Push. And essentially what I'm doing is just triggering different elements. And I can show you guys how it gets printed to MIDI afterwards. But for this part, really all I do is play throughout the chops, see if I can find like a 4-bar loop. And then from there, I just let my imagination take over.
I'm getting tired, y'all. We just gonna make a beat. I want an Ableton Push so bad.
As I'm repeating things that might not make sense, there's certain parts of those elements that I like that I'm trying to keep. So I'm trying to remember those parts and then take out.
See, all his slices are close together.
All right, I think I kind of like that, so I'm just gonna go with that for now. And I just created a 2-bar section here. One part was a little bit repetitive, and then the second part was a different section that I repeated. Dilla kind of evolved. He's saying Dilla did this. That's essentially how he was doing it, right? He found one section that worked really well together, and then figured out how to meld that into the second section. So let's take a look at the chops I have
try
here.
it with this beat.
So you can see all this is doing is basically triggering these slices that you see down here in my DAW. So you could actually just come in here in MIDI and play around. You can use a keyboard for this. You don't necessarily need a push controller or an MPC or anything like that. You can do this with any software as well. That second chop right here, that vocal choir that comes in, I don't like that part. So here you can literally just take the MIDI and move it around, right? You can just play around with it. That's the beauty of MIDI now, is I can go here and change that chop to whatever I want. Actually, that sounds better than the chop that was there before. Essentially, you can put these puzzle pieces together in any way, shape, or form. This is how I chose to do them, and this is how I recreated the Dilla technique. Then you see
All right, that was interesting. So literally, Dilla did this. Hold on. This was long. Chop that. Chop that. Chop that. Chop that. He didn't do this, but let's see what this sounds like. Sounds horrible. Anyway, I should listen to the beat again, see what we got. Let me practice making manual chops. So stop that. Okay. Honestly, I'm making a loop all over again. So that's something I need to practice. So let's do this. Let's chop it by BPM. Cool. Shift. We're going to convert that. Turn this into a program. And that's that on that. We'll get to that later. Oh, shit. I'm going to have to take a nap. We're going to make a beat and I'm going to take a nap. Let's find some 90s drums. Let's get some Dilla type drums. Holy shit, it's Godzilla. Oh my god, I'm gonna get canceled off the internet one day. All right, let's go. Let's find some drums. Ooh, that's a little loud, my guy. That's super loud. Hold on, y'all. Definitely got some J Dilla bass right there. I like the bass on that too. What I'm doing right here. What I'm doing right here is I'm choosing packs. I'm gonna just pull some of the stuff that I like out of these packs. Instead of going through certain ones and choosing these drums all separately, which is a headache, but that's the best way to do it, to tell you the truth. So, oh. Perfect. Okay. I'm gonna keep that. Let's go to 80 BPMs. Sweet spot. Oh, we can do 70. Let's do 77. And let's go about 8 bars. Our metronome and 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I messed up already. Wanna know what I messed up on, y'all? J Dilla doesn't do his drums quantized. And I did. I might just throw some swing on this bad boy and just call it a day. But anyway, do a little template song. Okay. That's not gonna work. We could do this. We could go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Every 4 bars, I'm just basically putting this sound on. Y'all see, I like doing stuff like that. That's usable. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You can't make no lo-fi without that. Bass is too much. All right. I wonder if it lasts only 4 bars. I knew it was gonna go out at 5. I'm a genius. All right, let's go, y'all. Should have did it on beat, but fuck it. All right, so we got some track imperfections. Take that metronome off. Now, where I made a big mistake, y'all, but it's not a big mistake. I don't like having all these sounds on one track. I usually like to switch them up because when I'm firing off and on one certain tracks, I want certain sounds to cut off. But this will be a good bass. Let's see what else we got. Basic. All right. Let's turn the metronome back on, just so I know it's on beat. Let's lay some of the sample down before we get too carried away. And oh shit, I'm gonna take my ass to sleep. I don't know why I just got tired all of a sudden. All right, we'll play around. Ah, that was a little off. Whatever. Turn this into some lo-fi. We'll make a lead too. Oh shit. Oh, I've been looking for this. Oh, but it doesn't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What the fuck? Man, look. I gotta. First of all, I gotta put this in controller mode. And now see, this that bullshit I'm talking about. Now it don't work when I put it in controller mode. I've been looking to try to control these pads as the keys, and not without going into some like deep configuration bullshit. Damn it! I'll have to take this out of controller mode, and I can literally play these like that, and literally slightly have an advantage over Jay Dilla, so I won't have to finger drum the whole time. But shit. All right. Anyway, let's go. This sounds good. This is a 3000. Sample. I can play these in different keys. I done ruined everything. All right, let me go back. Okay. Anyway, I just changed up all the keys, but it's cool. Let's see. that shit out. To the Mellotron. Let's do some violins. That would be cool. Ambient. have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Let me see. Electron. Oh, we can do a flute. My fingers. My goddamn fingers. Hey, hold on. Let's stick with that. Okay, we'll stick with that. Try it now. Fuck that up. Motherfucker. God damn it. Need to get better at keys, y'all. Stay in school. That's not it. That's not it, bucko. That's not it. Damn, hold on. I don't know if y'all getting some static or crunching.